She slept with my fiancé, destroyed my wedding in one night, but instead of breaking, I rebuilt and found a love she could never ruin. My little sister ruined my life because she could never have the one man she decided was her soulmate. So I made sure she had no choice but to sit back and watch that same man fall completely in love with me. Ever since Mia turned 21, she's been using the exact same broken record. I can't have my one true love, so nobody else gets to be happy either. And I'm not talking about a harmless crush she never got over. I mean, if anyone around her dared to feel joy, she'd find a way to poison it, then cry about her tragic heartbreak like it justified everything. The guy's name is Ethan. They hooked up exactly once at a college party 4 years ago. He ghosted her the next day. That single night became the entire foundation of her victim complex and the excuse she used to wreck everyone else's happiness. It started with her childhood best friend, Jess. Mia spent one weekend at Jess's apartment, and by Monday morning Jess's boyfriend was blowing up Mia's phone with sweet texts. Jess walked in on them tangled up in her own bed. Mia's actual response? "You have no idea what it feels like to lose the love of your life." Jess cut her off forever. Next was our cousin's engagement party. Mia showed up looking like she'd robbed a boutique, got absolutely wasted on red wine, and cornered the groom in the bathroom. His words later, she kept saying I reminded her of someone who got away. Thank God he shoved her off and immediately told his fiancé. Mia's version to our parents, happy couples trigger her trauma. Mom sent her on a luxury spa retreat to recover. By the time I started dating Ryan, I already knew the pattern cold. I kept him far away from family events, blocked Mia on all my socials, and warned him my sister was going through stuff. It worked perfectly for 2 whole years. We got engaged last spring, a small, low-key wedding, nothing flashy, just the people who actually mattered. My one mistake, mentioning the engagement at Mom's birthday dinner. Mia's eyes sparkled like she'd just been handed a loaded gun. She hugged me so tight and cooed, "I'm so happy for you. When do I finally get to meet him?" 1 week later, Ryan showed me his phone, laughing at how pathetic she was. She tracked him down through a fake Instagram account and was sliding into his DMs hard. We mocked the messages together, he blocked her, and I thought that was the end of it. 3 weeks before the wedding, I came down with the worst flu of my life. Ryan was supposed to be at his brother's golf tournament all day. My friend who lives in the same complex as Mia texted me, "Girl, isn't that Ryan's Tesla in visitor parking?" My stomach dropped through the floor. Burning up with fever, I dragged myself over there and let myself in with the spare key Mia had given me for emergencies. I found them on her couch, her head in his lap, his fingers in her hair, clothes half off. She looked up at me with those practiced crocodile tears already pooling. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. He reminds me so much of Ethan." I walked out. He didn't even chase me. That was the moment I decided she was going to learn what real loss actually feels like. Because here's the thing, Ethan wasn't some mythical stranger. We'd been quietly following each other on Instagram for 3 years. Mutual friends, occasional likes, nothing deep, but the connection was there. He lived 3 hours away, worked as a physical therapist, and posted the cutest videos of his golden retriever. I slid into his DMs with zero hesitation. "Hey, this is super weird, but my sister Mia is the girl you hooked up with once in college, and she just blew up my wedding over it. Want to help me return the favor?" He replied in 12 minutes flat. "Mia, the one who showed up at my mom's house uninvited. I'm 100% in." Turns out after he ghosted her, Mia had driven to his hometown, hunted down his mother, and spun an elaborate sob story about how they were star-crossed lovers torn apart by fate. His poor mom fell for it completely, had Mia over for tea, took selfies, even posted, "So happy to reconnect with my future daughter-in-law." Ethan forwarded me every screenshot, every creepy message, every mortified voice note from his mom apologizing for causing trouble. That's when I understood. Mia didn't love Ethan, she wanted to own him, and anything she couldn't own, she destroyed. But this time she underestimated 2 things. I was done playing the forgiving big sister. Ethan was more than happy to help me burn her fantasy to the ground. We planned it down to the minute. He would come stay with me the weekend of Dad's birthday lunch, an event Mia would never miss because it was the perfect stage for her perfect family act. I hadn't spoken a word to her since I caught her with Ryan, but I knew she'd be there. Friday night I picked Ethan up from the bus station. He was even better looking in person, warm smile, easy laugh, the kind of effortless charm you can't fake. The kind of man Mia could never control. Saturday at 1 p.m. sharp, we pulled up to my parents' house. I walked in wearing a new dress and the biggest smile I'd owned in years. Ethan's hand was locked in mine like we'd been together forever. "Everyone," I announced brightly, "this is Ethan." The second she heard the name, Mia went ghost white. She recovered just enough to force an awkward laugh. "Ethan, wow, small world, right?" He gave her the politest smile known to man. "Hey, Mia, good to see you again." That was it. Her mask shattered. She stammered something incoherent while I sat down right next to Ethan, snapping cute couple photos, posting stories, living my best life. Every time he called me babe, touched my back, or kissed my temple, I watched her jaw clench tighter. Halfway through lunch, she excused herself and locked herself in the bathroom. I followed and knocked until she opened the door, mascara already streaked. "What do you want?" she hissed. "Just checking on you," I said sweetly. "Must be hard watching your soulmate love someone else, huh? You're only doing this to hurt me. You destroyed my wedding because my happiness offended you." "This isn't revenge, Mia. This is consequences." "He was mine," she screamed, punching the wall. "I saw him first. You hooked up once. He didn't even remember your name. You built a delusion and used it to justify hurting everyone around you. Now sit down and watch him choose me without me having to stalk him or his mother." She slid down the wall sobbing. Mom knocked, worried. I opened the door, walked out with my head high, and went straight back to Ethan. He kissed my forehead and whispered, "Ready for round 2? I grinned. I'd never been more ready. The fallout started immediately. Mom called the next morning begging me to be the bigger person because Mia had cried all night and was so fragile. I laughed in her face over the phone. Fragile, the girl who slept with my fiancé while I was sick in bed. Monday, Ethan and I went to brunch with my friends, the ones who'd watched Mia pull her crap since high school. He was perfect, attentive, funny, completely devoted. My friends kept shooting me looks that said, "This revenge is chef's kiss." Then Ethan posted the photo, a simple shot of us in the park, arms around each other, caption. "Sometimes the right person finds you when you least expect it." Mia commented in under 10 minutes, "This is disgusting, you know what he means to me." Ethan liked her comment and replied publicly, "We hooked up once, Mia, one time." "Then you followed me for blocks the next day. That's not love, that's obsession." The internet exploded. People who'd known her forever started piling on. Finally, someone said it. "Karma is gorgeous." I always thought her Ethan story was unhinged. She sent me 10 hysterical voice notes that ended with "You're destroying my life." I replied with one text. "No, I'm rebuilding mine. You never learned how." Then I blocked her. But I wasn't done. Thursday night, she posted the ultimate victim selfie, crying in dim lighting, caption about how painful it is to watch your own sister steal the man you love and get applauded for it. It got thousands of likes. Some of our own relatives reposted it. Friday morning, I showed up at my parents' house unannounced, walked straight into the living room where Mom, Dad, and Mia were sitting. Mia came downstairs in sweats doing her best broken bird impression. I didn't let anyone speak first. "I'm done watching her play victim while she ruins lives. You want to keep babying her? Fine." But the world just saw the receipts, every screenshot, every crazy message to his mom, every testimony. The mask is off and nobody's buying the act anymore. Silence. Mia cried harder. Dad stared at the floor. I left. Ethan was waiting in the car with coffee and the radio on. "How'd it go?" "Beautifully," I said, and that was only part 1. Part 2 was delicious. First, the opening of my friend Andre's new restaurant, huge influencer crowd, photographers everywhere. Mia lived for events like that. She'd fake her whole life for a good backdrop. She wasn't on the guest list. We were. Paparazzi snapped us on the red carpet. Next morning, a big local page posted, "Melissa and Ethan, couple goals stealing the night." Mia's passive-aggressive story that day. "Some people need spotlights to feel alive. I prefer depth." Depth. From the girl who once returned a $400 dinner after photographing it. Then our cousin Amanda's wedding. Amanda called me personally. "Bring Ethan. Everyone knows what Mia did." I'm not pretending anymore. Mia showed up alone, dressed like she was auditioning for a music video, smiling like nothing was wrong. We danced inches away from her all night. During the newlyweds' first dance, Amanda waved us onto the floor right beside them. Ethan spun me slowly, kissed my neck, whispered sweet things in my ear while Mia watched from the sidelines. She finally cracked and walked up to him. "Ethan, can we talk?" He didn't even flinch. "No thanks, I'm busy loving your sister." I looked her dead in the eyes. "For the first time in years, someone is loving me back. You never understood the difference between love and possession." She stumbled backward, caught her heel in her dress, and almost fell. Nobody reached out to help her. Being ignored hurt her more than laughter ever could. She fled the venue in tears. I kept dancing. The cherry on top? A few weeks later, I was invited on a popular podcast about overcoming betrayal and new chapters. I told the whole story, no names, but everyone who mattered knew exactly who it was about. The episode blew up nationwide. Women flooded my DMs saying they'd lived the same nightmare with a toxic sister or friend. Mia listened. That same night she messaged me. "Do you really have to parade your revenge for clout?" I wrote back. "This isn't revenge anymore. This is freedom. I spent years as a supporting actress in your drama." "Now the story is mine." She never replied. Word is she's become a recluse. Brand deals dried up. People whisper when she walks into a room. For the first time in her life, Mia isn't the center of attention, and she has no idea how to exist without it. And me, I'm happier than I've ever been with a man who chose me without manipulation, without stalking, without tears. Turns out the best revenge isn't destruction. It's just living better and letting them watch. The carefully curated image she spent years polishing with perfect angles and rehearsed captions finally cracked. And the funniest part? I didn't have to lift a finger. She shattered it all on her own. Meanwhile, I just kept living. Ethan had stopped being a weapon in my revenge a long time ago. Somewhere between the staged photos and the calculated appearances, he quietly turned into my safe place. He arrived as a co-conspirator. He stayed as my person. Every day I noticed it more clearly. What Mia had tried so hard to break had only forged me into something unbreakable. And the sister who always won by twisting arms and hearts was suddenly left with nothing but her own echo. The first morning I realized Ryan no longer lived in my head was completely ordinary. Sunlight was spilling across the bedroom floor. Ethan was in the kitchen shirtless, flipping pancakes like he'd been doing it here forever. He was humming some cheesy 2000 song and doing the most ridiculous little dance moves that made me laugh into my pillow. In that moment it hit me. Ryan was just a faded smudge in the rearview mirror. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was the way Ethan reached for my hand even when no one was watching. It was how he listened to the same childhood stories for the 10th time like they were brand new. It was the way he looked at me while I read on the couch, like the entire universe could wait. I never saw it coming. When I sent that reckless message asking him to help me ruin Mia's delusion, I thought it would be a short performance. A few weekends of acting, some well-timed posts, and then we'd both walk away satisfied and go back to real life. But real life had other plans. Ethan became coffee in the morning and takeout on the couch and spare hoodies in my drawer. When my car died in the middle of the highway, he showed up with coffee and a tow truck before I even finished crying. When I had a full-blown panic attack the night before a huge work presentation, he sat on the kitchen floor with me, saying nothing, just holding my hand until my lungs remembered how to work. Ryan never even crossed my mind anymore, not once. Not for comparison, not for nostalgia, nothing. Ryan had been all beautiful promises about tomorrow. Ethan was here right now every single today. One random evening, we went to a little hole-in-the-wall restaurant that had just opened downtown. Nothing fancy, just dim lights and decent pasta. We were halfway through the meal when Ethan reached across the table, laced his fingers through mine, and said with that half-smirk I already loved, "You know what's hilarious? We started this whole thing to mess with your sister. But I stopped pretending the first day. My heart did something ridiculous. I haven't been pretending for a long time either," I said, suddenly shy. He lifted his glass. "To the best revenge plot in history," I shook my head. "No. To whatever this is now." We clinked glasses, and for the first time in years I felt completely, perfectly calm. No bitterness, no scorekeeping, just peace. A few days later we were walking downtown when I spotted Ryan across the street. Head down, hands in his pockets, looking like the world had used him as a punching bag. Instinctively I looked away, not from hurt, just from total indifference. He saw me, hesitated, took one step forward like he might try to talk. Then Ethan walked up behind me, slid his fingers between mine without a word, and Ryan stopped dead. Something flickered across his face. Maybe the realization that the spot he threw away was now permanently taken by someone who never had to be asked twice. That night I held Ethan a little closer and whispered, "Thank you for showing up." He just smiled that quiet smile that always said everything without saying anything at all. Revenge had given me justice. What came after gave me love. Months went by, and what started as a razor-sharp counterattack slowly turned into the softest, sweetest chapter of my life. Ethan wasn't a chess piece anymore. He was home. We spent almost every night together, some at my place, some at his, where his golden retriever insisted on sleeping smack in the middle like a furry referee. One random Tuesday, while we demolished a pizza straight from the box and watched a ridiculous ocean documentary, he turned to me and asked, "Too soon to make this official? Or are we already so far past that it's embarrassing to ask?" I laughed so hard I almost dropped my slice. "I think we've survived worse drama than most couples do in decades. Yeah, I want the title." And just like that, it was official, simple, real, no grand gesture needed. Mia vanished from our conversations. She blocked Ethan everywhere, even though he never once reached out. She told mutual friends she'd never forgive me for stealing the love of her life. She conveniently left out the part where she torched my wedding first. But here's the thing, I stopped caring. At first I thought I'd stay angry forever, waiting for an apology that would never come. Then one day I woke up and realized I didn't need it anymore. Letting go of wanting her remorse was the final freedom I never knew I was missing. She didn't come to my birthday. She ignored Mom's texts about Christmas. She moved to another state, apparently telling people she needed a fresh start away from toxic family. Good. I hope she finds whatever peace she's capable of, far away from me. I traveled with Ethan to the countryside, officially met his mom, who hugged me like I was the daughter she always wanted, helped him paint the walls of his new clinic, learned to live with dog hair on every surface. We built something quiet and solid in hours. No filters, no scripts, no audience required. One lazy afternoon we were swaying in the hammock, listening to nothing but wind and birds when he asked, "Do you still think this whole thing was just revenge?" I thought about it for a second, then turned to him and smiled. It started that way, but it turned into the best decision I ever made for myself. He kissed my forehead and we let the silence say the rest. Revenge became love, and deep down that's probably what stung Mia the hardest. She spent her whole life performing desperation to be the prettiest, the most tragic, the most desired. But offstage, far from the spotlight she was addicted to, I found everything she only ever pretended to have. I was never the golden child, never the favorite, never the sensitive one who got endless second chances. But I was the one who learned how to turn pain into power, betrayal into boundaries, and revenge into the kind of love that doesn't need an audience. And nobody can ever take that from me. 6 months later, when I thought every loose end was tied, Ryan called. I let it ring twice. On the third try, Ethan just looked at me and said softly, "Answer it. Close the book." I met Ryan at a random coffee shop nowhere near the places we used to go. He looked like he hadn't slept in weeks, hair messy, eyes hollow. "Thank you for coming," he started, barely meeting my gaze. "What do you need, Ryan?" He took a shaky breath. "To apologize and to explain if you'll let me." I waited. "That day when you were sick, Mia showed up at my door. Said she had to warn me about things you'd done, stuff from high school, old messages twisted to look bad. She said you were vindictive, dangerous. She even cried about how she'd been in love with me the whole time but stayed quiet out of loyalty to you." I felt my stomach twist. Classic Mia, and you believed her. I was drunk and confused and terrified of making a mistake. 5 minutes after you walked out, I knew she'd played me. I knew I'd just thrown away the best thing I ever had. Tears welled up in his eyes. "I tried to find you, I called 1,000 times. Then I saw the pictures with him and I knew it was really over." I stayed quiet for a long time. "You know what hurts the most?" I finally said. "It's not what you did. It's that after 2 years you trusted her over me." He dropped his head into his hands. I stood up. "But thank you for telling me. It just confirms I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." He looked up, desperate. "Are you happy?" I smiled, genuinely, for the first time in that entire conversation. "Happier than I ever thought possible." Then I walked out, no anger, just closure. The family reconciliation was slower and heavier. 3 months later, Mom called and asked if we could have lunch, just the two of us. When I got to the restaurant, I barely recognized her. She looked older, smaller, like the weight of everything had finally settled on her shoulders. She reached for my hand almost immediately. "I owe you an apology for years of choosing the wrong daughter to protect." Tears filled her eyes. "I knew Mia was difficult, but I thought if I loved her harder, shielded her more, she'd grow out of it. And in doing that, I left you to clean up her messes alone. I mistook your strength for not needing me. I was wrong." We both cried quietly across the table. "She's moved away," Mom continued. "Started therapy. She asked me to tell you she knows what she did was unforgivable, but that she's not ready to say sorry yet. That's okay, I said honestly. I'm not ready to hear it yet either. Mom squeezed my hand. Can I try to be the mother you deserved all along? I squeezed back. We can try, slowly. A few weeks later, Dad showed up at my door unannounced, holding a slightly sad bouquet of grocery store flowers and looking like he'd rehearsed this moment 100 times. Your mom told me about your lunch, he said after I let him in. Ethan greeted him warmly and then disappeared to give us space. Dad sat on the edge of the couch like he was afraid to take up room. I failed you, he said simply. I saw Mia causing chaos and decided it was girl stuff your mom would handle. I left you both to drown, especially you. His voice cracked. I'm proud of how you turned all that hurt into something beautiful, and I'm sorry it took me this long to say it. I cried harder than I expected. He cried too. Then he asked, voice small, still room for a better dad? I hugged him. Always. That night I told Ethan everything. He just held me while I talked, tracing slow circles on my back. How do you feel? He asked when I was done. Free, I answered, surprised at how true it was. Actually truly free. And Mia, I thought about it. I hope one day she finds peace, but it doesn't have to be anywhere near me. He kissed my temple. You're incredible. No, I whispered, smiling into his chest. We're incredible. Because in the end, this was never just about winning against my sister. It was about learning I deserved to be chosen, fully, consistently, happily. It was about realizing family isn't only the people you're born to, but the ones who stay when it's hard. It was about understanding that sometimes you have to stop accepting scraps from people who never saw your worth, just to make room for the person who can't imagine life without you. And now, when I wake up tangled in Ethan, with a goofy golden retriever sprawled across our feet and sunlight pouring through the window, I know every tear, every battle, every calculated middle finger to the past was worth it. Because it led me here, to him, to us, to peace. Thank you for being part of our community. Your likes, comments, and shares help us bring more unbelievable Reddit family stories every day. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a shocking story.